Hello, and welcome to a special Juneteenth edition of Car Series, brought to you by the Greater Kansas City Resiliency Network. My name is Aaron. I'm your host. I didn't expect to do anything for today. Today's my day off from work. I had some errands to do, and I saw something that was like, I really need to do something. What it was there's a bank being built out in Independence, Missouri. Right, there's a Walmart and a Lowe's and stuff there, and they're converting I think it was an Applebee's into a Chase Bank. And there were some people outside they're on the corner, like a small strip mall away from there, but kind of the intersection of two, when the entrance is to that shopping center. And they had a banner out there saying Chase unfair to labor, something like that. But I didn't see anything about, anything specific. I'm like, yeah, bank unfair to labor. I mean, not a surprise. I was hoping for some more specificity as to, the actual, why they specifically were there. It took about 45 minutes to fight through construction to loop back around. By that time, they were gone. And I was like, that's, to me, that is just emblematic of the issues that face organizing. Things have become so ephemeral. They took the time to go out there with this big, professionally printed banner, and because it was probably the banner was probably about 8 feet by 2 feet tall, and had like a border around it and all that stuff. And it was a one of those outdoor banners, and it was just like I was coming back around because I was actually hoping to be able to talk to them, maybe do an interview, something. They were gone, and it's like, I don't know who they were. I don't know who they represented. I mean, there may have been something on the sign about that, but lots of traffic, and not a lot of people would have been able to take the time to read the whole thing. And it's hard to say, hey, we're making an impact, when you can't see, when there's so little visibility. I'm somebody who supports workers, who supports unions and organizing and stuff. I have my problems with unions. I'm much more along if I had to frame myself ideologically, it'd be more with Wobblies in a lot of respects. Signing away the right to strike in exchange for a contract. I don't, but generally speaking, the kind of organizing is good. And this obviously wasn't this wasn't specific to organizing. It was about, complaints against a particular company. And I'm left wondering, what the heck? What were the complaints? Who was there? Which union was that? Or were there a couple of them? Was it a general, there's something there that I don't know. I don't know. And I would like to know. So I'm going to do some research on that. But this is not a heavily researched kind of thing. This is just me spouting off about things I see, things I think. And kind of, because it's Juneteenth, and that kind of sparked my desire to say something. But one of the things that really pisses me off is Juneteenth is supposed to be the celebration of, true independence, the end of slavery. When the final message got to, when the message finally got to Texas that, slavery is officially abolished there, and that was the last state that it happened in, and should be a celebratory time, and that's treated as a celebratory time, but the work's not yet finished because there are loopholes. I mean, first of all, there's slavery that's going on in this country that is illegal, as in, not something that people see, and if something were something that would be prosecuted if it was made public. And I say made public because I'm pretty sure that at least some people in the government know exactly what is going on where. They just, are kind of in on it. And but there's a whole nother much bigger issue, and that is that the Constitution has a loophole there, and that loophole is for prisoners. And this presents a major problem to labor because we arrest a lot of people. We convict a lot of people. We put people in prison for things that are really aren't all that serious at the end of the day. And a lot of those prisons have prisoners doing labor, doing work to make things or provide services that are sold to the public. So that means that things that say, like, for example, office furniture, it says made in the USA, probably made in the prison. There are certain categories of goods where you can say that, and you're like, oh, well, I'm supporting U.S. jobs. You're supporting, an industry that, is supported by, that is, the labor is slave labor. And that is an issue. That is a major issue. And especially in regards to Juneteenth, we're talking specifically about black slavery. You look at the prison populations and who gets picked up by the police, who's considered an easy enough target, soft targets for them to get through the system. The job of the forensics people in law enforcement is not to find the truth, it's to find evidence of the person that was arrested for the crime. And so and a lot of times, there can be a pretty low burden of proof that's required by juries. And we know, even in death penalty cases where things are supposed to be where evidence is supposed to be so stringent and stuff, how many states have suspended executions indefinitely or abolished them altogether because of how many false convictions there were? And that's for death penalty cases, things where you'd expect that everybody would be on point and everything would be nailed down hard, and they're still getting it wrong. And so how many people in prison are actually supposed to be there? And the last Supreme Court ruling on the matter said, oh, that doesn't matter. Whether somebody actually committed the crime or not isn't the point of the system. It's that the community has said that they think this person is guilty, and that's the only thing that matters. If the community thinks that somebody did it, then the system should uphold a conviction, even if evidence comes out and says that's not says that no, they physically could not have been there at that time or done that thing. And that was, I'm trying to remember the name of the guy who wrote that. But it was the kinds of when you look at prison populations, what you're seeing is the people who are put into the system by law enforcement because they think they can get that conviction, not because they think that that person necessarily committed that crime, but because they could get the conviction. They could sway, a jury could be swayed to this. And there's a huge difference in that. Because if somebody can't afford a good lawyer and they have to go with the public defender, they're probably looking at a plea deal. And that plea deal probably is going to include at least some prison time. And so, and that in turn is free labor for a company who either owns the prison or owns a little assembly plant in the prison, or buys the product from the prison. And I know that right here in the Kansas City area, there's a t-shirt company. The t-shirts are made in a prison in Kansas. And they're made in the USA. They get that made in the USA tag on them. And so you think, oh, I'm supporting jobs, I'm supporting American labor by buying these t-shirts. You're not. You're supporting demand for slave labor. If that demand for slave labor went away, then there wouldn't be as much of a push to incarcerate as many people as possible. And so I look at Juneteenth as kind of, yes, what happened, the end of general slavery was a good thing. But it's also a day to reflect that the job is not done. That this stuff still goes on, and it goes on in our country. And it's not just, it's not just people who would be arrested if it was found out that they were enslaving others. It's us. It's society. It's how we tolerate this system to exist. And I'm going to tie that back to what I saw with the presumably union people protest who were there in the street, on the street corner by the bank that was being built. And it kind of all goes together. To me, it all goes together. They don't have enough people who care enough about labor to keep up that pressure on site. It's like we don't have enough people who care enough about this, about the prison slave system to fight back against that. And that is, to me, that is again something that we need to be resilient on, because I mean, the core of it is community. When someone gets picked up off the street because they're an easy target by police, and they can be put in the system, and they want to do that because the system makes money having, so supplying slave labor to American for-profit companies. That hurts all of us. That hurts all of us. That is one less person who is able to, at least while they're in prison, able to contribute to the strength of the community. That's one less person who is able to help you when there's in time of need. That's one less person to stand next to you when something wrong is happening to you. And it ticks me off because it goes to the heart of what a community is. It goes to the heart of why people need to come together. And it makes me sad when I see that, when I go back and there's nobody left on the street corner who can answer basic questions. It's because it's a symptom. It's a symptom of all of this. It's a symptom of why we're easy pickings for the people who exploit us. And I'm gonna end on that downer of a note, but that's kind of what I see. Our job is finished, and yet we don't have a follow-up. We don't have a follow-up group. We don't stand up for one another. And it's sad because it's not just short-sightedness, and it allows people to be isolated and kind of put at the mercy of those who have increasingly more and more power. It is a matter. It is because standing up for one another is the right thing to do. It's the right thing to do. And so, I invite you to go to check out our website at gkcinfo.com. Join our group. We're in the process of looking for a property that we can purchase and rehab for our first housing. I hate to say housing project because that brings to mind something entirely different than what we're doing, but it is a project to provide housing for people. Low cost, but not subsidized, just low cost housing to help, one family at a time be more stable, more economically stable, and able to help others. And that's this I had to make the pitch because I need to, because that's kind of my job. But that's not really the focus of most of these episodes. It's about coming together. Why do we come together? How do we come together? The things that we can do for each other, and that's the important thing. That's the important thing. If you're in the GKC area, the GKC Resiliency Network has a booth at the Painted Tree in Overland Park on 135th Street. We're kind of tied into Uniform Promise there. We have fairly low cost freeze dried food there that we sell, along with a handful of useful 3D printed things. We're looking for ways to expand and to be able to help people more. Like I said, check out our website. We have a Bluesky account. That's our social media account. GKC Resiliency, I believe, is the handle there. If you search for it, you should be able to find it. And that's it. Have a great rest of your week, and take care of each other. That's the important thing. Take care of each other.